I was devastated that day in her changing area, by and by on the grounds that I was watching our particle, and our legend be terrified. And at that point, I knew Whoopi Goldberg wasn't stressed over me, 'cause I'm the young lady coming behind her, and the very man Whoopi Goldberg advised me to dispose of, which is my better half and my chief. He said, "Mom, you must quit being the assistance your number one comic and entertainer, Monique, has no plans on quieting down about her issues with power players in Hollywood, which she expresses are on a mission to debase her because of her battle for equivalent compensation, among other relevant issues. Notwithstanding her claim against Netflix, the jokester has broadly quarreled with Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels. She likewise has a ton to say about Whoopi Goldberg and spreads out her issues with the moderator in a past meeting. Listen, what you can't do, Monique, is run contrary to the natural order of things. You can't conflict with this machine. And in light of the fact that your better half is a glad dark individual of color, and he needs answers that they can't give Monique's appearance on The View to examine her public aftermath with Perry and Daniels, as well as her segregation claims against Netflix, immediately went bad during the visit. Monique discussed accepting Perry and Daniels, added to her being renounced in Hollywood. As per the Oscar-winning entertainer, she started getting less proposals for work in the wake of declining to do global press for the movie. Valuable Daniels coordinated the movie, and Perry assisted with advancing it subsequently. Nee says significant organizations started to sabotage her worth, including Netflix. She sued Netflix for orientation predisposition and separation in light of race. She asserted the streaming organization didn't give her a satisfactory proposal for a parody unique since she was a person of color. And that is where their aftermath with Whoopi Goldberg started. And I said, assuming you had called me, I might have educated you on what was generally anticipated. Goldberg couldn't help contradicting Monique's position. During the meeting, the veteran entertainer let Monique know that she was off track in her methodology per Monique. Their discussion went on in Goldberg's changing area, in which the comic says Goldberg offered vilifying comments about her better half, who is likewise her supervisor. Goldberg likewise supposedly advised Monique that she wants to zero in exclusively on herself and not make a development for balance for the individuals who come after her. Yet, in spite of leaving the discussion with Goldberg unsettled, Monique demanded she wasn't vexed. Rather, she said Goldberg is the person who is off track and clues that the anchor person needs respectability. The Oscar-winning Green Star talked about her sentiments during a meeting with Claudia Jordan on her Fox Soul syndicated program, without holding back with Claudia Jordan. When it initially began happening, when I initially began hearing it, I won't deceive you, all my knees clasped. I was crushed that day in her changing area, by and by on the grounds that I was watching our symbol and our legend be frightened. Monique says she proceeded to say that individuals' view of her attempting to be obscure toward Goldberg was wrong. On the off chance that you recollect, Mo broadly shot Goldberg for not procuring what she says Goldberg merits for her work on The View. She let Goldberg know that her better half has been her redeeming quality in her vocation. During the meeting, the comic said of Goldberg, what I was talking about was as she was investigating my eyes. And she told me, it's your significant other, you got to dispose of your better half. And I said, Whoopi, my better half, arranged the greatest arrangements I've had in my profession, alongside our lawyer Ricky Anderson, two individuals of color. And she went dead quiet. Monique further made sense of that. She was an ed by Goldberg's recommendation. The Sister Act entertainer purportedly advised Monique to stress exclusively over herself and make an effort not to set a model for others to go to bat for what they trust in. At that point, I knew Whoopi Goldberg wasn't stressed over me since I'm the young lady coming behind her. Monique snaps. By and large, the stand-up comic said she doesn't really accept that Goldberg has terrible goals. Rather, she accepts Goldberg expressed such because of dread of Monique losing everything in her battle for equity. Yet the harm was at that point done. Mo previously tended to her conflict with Goldberg in February 2018, when the team contended whether Monique ought to have done more advancement for the film valuable. When you make a film, your responsibility is to proceed to advance the said film, Goldberg said on The View. We've had this discussion, I said, assuming that you had called me. I might have educated you on what was generally anticipated I had. Sympathy for my sister Whoopi Goldberg, Monique told Vulture, since what you're expressing to me is you should work with the expectation of complimentary. I might have educated you when I take a gander at this lady you say is our symbol and our legend. She is nevertheless the number of things that has Whoopi Goldberg leader delivered. Whoopi Goldberg has forever been the assistance. And I say that unassumingly, so what are you going to class me on? I've been doing it for very nearly 30 years. Mo kept guaranteeing that after the show she went to Goldberg's changing area, and The View have encouraged Monique to continue on with her personal business and vacation. I said, Whoopi, I can't let it go. I got to think about the younger sibling who hasn't arrived at this point. She reviewed, and our icon and our legend said you better quit agonizing over the younger sibling who hasn't arrived at this point and stress over you at that point. I realized I was taking a gander at a lady who didn't care a lot about me. I'm an American. That is the reason I love you when you say. And I realize you take a ton of poop individuals when you say you realize what. Don't call me an African American. I feel the same way. This wasn't whenever Goldberg first has been blamed for not remaining with individual dark entertainers. Back in 2016, the television program have declared that she is American, not African American, while reprimanding Donald Trump's 2016 mission for the administration of this country. She said, my mom, my grandma, my extraordinary, stupendous people, we busted ass to be here. I'm sorry, I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm not a chick American. I'm an American. Her remarks were upheld by her co-have entertainer, Raven-Symoné, who started a comparable contention in the fall of 2014 when she made a practically indistinguishable differentiation. During a live meeting, Goldberg's way of talking incited an unavoidable kickback. Maybe that was the aim, yet it has likewise restored an undeniably normal discussion inside the African American population about how to recognize themselves, and why during a time when individuals give off an impression of being presenting the defense that race can be liquid, and the leader of the U.S., who distinguishes as African American regularly, has his racial legitimacy raised doubt about Goldberg's tirade, just added more fuel to a shoot that had been stewing for quite a while. Racial discourse on The View turned out to be progressively polarizing when Raven-Symoné joined the cast in June 2015. She had been generally scrutinized for saying she wouldn't recruit somebody with a cliché dark name, divisibly offered Watermelon Drea, for instance, and for seeming to project fault on a dark South Carolina secondary school understudy who was seen hauled across a homeroom floor by an official clearly not to be outperformed. Goldberg has shown opinion for safeguarding VIPs blamed for assault and racial designations, albeit on account of Bill Cosby, who has been blamed for many of rapes. The Sister Act star strolled back. Her underlying wariness displeasure regarding Symoné's assertions propelled a request drawing the marks of thousands requiring her expulsion from the show. African Americans and individuals of color around the diaspora need a voice illustrative of their perspectives, and not a voice illustrative of what white individuals believe that we should say. Read the request. We really want solid, dark, good examples in unmistakable situations on TV, and Raven-Symoné can't give that. ABC, which airs The View, remained by the previous Disney station star. At the time we love Raven, a representative told, she is certain, certified, and obstinate, all characteristics that make her an incredible option to the board. Again, in 2016, Goldberg seemed to conflict with dark entertainers, affirming that her treatment of Monique was not something new. You need to look and say. And I'm distraught, so don't be shocked. While tending to the continuous variety line at Oscars 2016, the veteran entertainer said that the issue was not with the foundation, but rather the genuine issue was the shortfall of dark entertainers In driving movie jobs, the then 60-year-old entertainer was talking at a syndicated program, The View, which was fixated on the foundation of movie expressions and sciences. And it's vowed to twofold its minority and female participation by 2020. The issue isn't the foundation, regardless of whether you fill the foundation with dark and Latino and Asian individuals. On the off chance that there's nobody on the screen to decide in favor of you, won't obtain your desired result. I won once, so it can't be that bigoted, said Goldberg, who got the Oscar for Best Supporting Entertainer for her job in the 1990 film Phantom Purple. Entertainer said the main pressing concern was that dark entertainers don't show up in many driving jobs. You want chiefs and makers who will say hello. What might be said about this, and that they should know that the image is unfinished, she added. Her reaction to Oscar's blacklist came after Jada Pinkett Smith's declaration to not go to the 2016 function. I won't be at the foundation grants, and I will not be watching on The View. She said that the choice to blacklist was an insult to have Chris Rock, a striking occurrence, thinking about what occurred among Rock and Jada's significant other, Will Smith, just about 7 years after the fact. You need to blacklist something. Don't go see the films that don't have your portrayal. That is the blacklist you need to me. We have this discussion consistently. It annoys me, she said. George Clooney, Will Smith, Spike Lee, David Oyelowo, and Lupita Nyong'o were a portion of the superstars who additionally responded unequivocally to the Oscar selections that year. Nissen have likewise voiced their contemplations on the circumstance, with one tweeting, Whoopi Goldberg is junk. Monique was correct from the beginning, while one more composed, Monique topped reality. Whoopi Goldberg shouldn't proceed to